Hey everybody, it's Dan from the Outdoor Trade Show Network. It's Sunday night. It's time for We Care You Matter. And I could not honestly talk about or call this We Care You Matter if I didn't talk about what was going on currently when I do these on Sunday night. And I got probably in the last 3 or 4 hours, 5 or 6, I got 3 emails and 4 or 5 messages about the President Joe Biden put out, I don't know what he put out. He's asking for legislation for gun control. So tonight I want to talk to you about gun control because we are a firearms manufacturer here, and it affects us. It affects us in our business and what we do, but it also affects my family, and it affects the future of my family. And then when you start talking about that, that's when things start to get serious. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about gun control and what's going on today, and what we have to do as a community, and what we have to do as a group, and what we have to do as people that live in the United States, own firearms, and are responsible, law-abiding citizens. What we can do, or what we should be doing, or we need to have that discussion of just what is going on and how I see it and where I see that I'm coming from. And the way I see this, everybody, is this. And I would like to talk. I would like to have a lot of discussions. And we need to start now with this. We've been talking, but we haven't been talking. And people put a lot of posts out, and they have I don't know, what do you call it? Keyboard muscles, or they got, they can talk real smart, or they can talk real big when they're laying in their recliner or their couch and they're posting stuff. This is beyond that now. This is where we need to have serious discussions, and we need to take this. This needs to be a little bit more serious than putting a post out there and thinking you've done your job. We need to organize, we need to educate, and we need to train, and we need to talk. We need to sit down. And there's pros and cons to everything. And we need to have discussions about where we're at, where we're going, where everybody sees. Everybody has a different opinion. We need to listen to people's opinion, and people need to listen to our opinion. And it's just, hey, Peter, hey, Dave, not my president. Yeah, Dave, I agree. But, here's the other one. And here's the thing, Dave. What we can't do anymore is we got past what we've gone through the last few years. We have to put in the past. This impeachment stuff. No, impeachment is a waste of time. You have a thing called a vote. You organize, you educate, and you train the voting community. And with your vote, as a free U.S. citizen that is law-abiding and educated, you go out and you vote, and you get your neighbors to vote, and you get your friends to vote, and you get everybody in your community, and you vote the stuff. Not, posting this and posting. No, you do it with a vote, and you do it with, as we organize, we're going to have to organize, and we're going to have to educate, and we're going to have to work at this. If we want to be able to, and the crazy part about what we have going on with the firearms community and gun control and guns and this whole crazy rabbit hole that we're going down is we're fighting to protect our right to bear arms and to have firearms and to protect our families and to protect ourselves from wolves or from bad or whatever harm may come to our families. And in doing that, we are protecting the people that want to take the guns. It's the darndest thing. To me, it's the craziest thing that we got going on. We are fighting for a right that we are given as United States citizens to protect ourselves, but also to protect the people that want to take these firearms and put these gun control measures against those of us that are gun control or that are firearms people. And that's kind of how I see it. And the other thing is, and this will never change, it hasn't changed since mankind has been around. It'll be around when I'm gone. It'll be around when everybody that's watching or listening here is gone, is there are two types of people in this world. You have wolves and you have sheep. And that's the way God created mankind. You have wolves and you have sheep, and there's nothing that any of us can do to change that. And when you're born, you don't know if God made you a wolf or if God made you a sheep. And right now, the wolves are trying to take the guns away from the sheep. And what we have to do is we have to make sure that the sheep always are able to have firearms. They are able to bear arms to protect themselves. And that's all we're trying to do. It's as simple as that. But if we don't talk as a group and organize and get out there and talk to people that have a problem with firearms and they have a problem with the types of guns that we manufacture and what we're talking about, we have to have town hall meetings. We have to, like where I'm at down here at the shop. And Dave, I know the same goes for you up there at DuBois Firearms. You can come into the shop. You can come into the shop here. You don't have to make an appointment. And same with DuBois Firearms. And if you have a problem with what Dave is doing, or in anybody that is in this firearms business, is come in and we will have a discussion and explain. I would like someone to explain to me why they want to take, and they start out real small, and that's where this is. It's always been that they start out, they take a little. And once they get a little, they want a little more. And then once they get that little bit more, it's never enough. It's never enough. So you can't ever even give up that little bit. That's where we're all coming from here is you can't even give up that little bit because it's never going to be enough. So from the start, don't give up anything. And as long as you're a law-abiding citizen in this United States of America, we have a right to bear arms to protect ourselves. And it flat out comes down as simple as that. But we have to take care of this right. We have to work at it. You just can't, it's not, none of this is simple. None of this is simple. But you have wolves and you have sheep. And the wolves right now want to take your guns. And once the wolves take your guns, they will slaughter the sheep. So and if you don't believe me, or if you think that what I'm saying is not true, or that it's just my opinion, that's history. That is history. And that's the other thing we have to look at here, everybody, is do a little research. You're all on the computer. Everybody's got computers today. You can find anything you want to find is on that, is you can search for it on that computer, and you can read articles. And there's so much resources out there. Go back and look at history. And history will tell you that when the sheep can't defend themselves, the wolves will slaughter them. So, and it's as simple as that. And how I was educated to all of that is I did heavy equipment, water and sewer, excavating work in the city of Chicago. And I did it for years down there. And I did this back in it'd be in the middle 80s when I started, and through the 80s and the 90s. And I worked with superintendents, and I worked with gentlemen that had experienced World War II. They had lived in Europe. Hubert was in Belgium. Sam was from Czechoslovakia. And then Pat's dad, uncles, friends, worked with a lot of guys in the industry that I was in that were from Italy. So we would have these discussions. Pat's father, who I stayed with down there, was a boy during the war. Actually, the German army took him when he was 7 years old. He peeled potatoes for the German army. They thought he was long gone. 7 years he was gone. He's 14. He came walking back. He was from 7 to 14. He was on his own. He literally lived on his own. And then with Sam and with Hubert. And the biggest part, and with a lot of the other guys that were in the trades that I worked with, that firearms were so important. They talked about firearms and the fact that they could buy a gun, and it was such a big deal to them to be able to go into a gun store and purchase a firearm that they could have for themselves to protect their families and to protect themselves. And it was a a huge, I mean, it was a really big deal to these guys. And they explained to me how when they were small and they were in Europe, the Germans came through and they did the whole thing about they were there to help. And they were, in Czechoslovakia, especially with Sam. Sam was a superintendent. Well, Hubert was too, a superintendent that we did a lot of jobs with. And they would explain that the Germans came in and they were going to do great things, and they were going to incorporate them in, and that they were German people, and on, and that you had to report. They were big on the paperwork, and they were big on crossing the T's and dotting the I's, which was they wanted to know what firearms were out there and who had what. And as soon as they had all that information, they went from house to house and they took all of your firearms. And the day after they took all the firearms, they lined people up on the walls and shot. They shot the educated, and they shot the intellectuals and the educated people. And then they turned the rest of the people into slaves. So, and that's history. And I learned that from the people that lived it. They lived it. And they had nothing to defend themselves. And if you don't think that can't happen here, history does repeat itself. And if you let people take your guns, I feel bad. And I'm doing this to protect, I have, between my kids and my grandchildren, I am going to do whatever I can to fight for their right to be able to defend themselves. And that's where this is. Same with Hubert. And the other thing with Sam, well, what Sam did is Sam would buy a firearm here. And Sam has passed away now. He's gone. I could talk about this now because he's gone. Hubert's gone. They've all passed away. And what they would do is they would buy a firearm here, I know Sam bought 3 handguns, and he would take those apart. Every little piece of those handguns he would take apart. And he would send something home back to Czechoslovakia, to his family in Czechoslovakia, one piece at a time. And it might be one piece a month. And he was on pins and needles when he would send a piece, that it made it through customs, that it made it through shipping. And he was, oh my God, if I get caught, or what happens if they find out. And he would send that back piece by piece by piece back to Czechoslovakia, to his family. And then he would take, it was usually during the holiday, he would go back to Czechoslovakia and they would put that gun together. And then they had built a place in the home that he grew up in and where he was at, that they would put that gun together, and they had dug a spot out that was secret in the house that they hid firearms and they hid ammunition, because they remembered what happened during World War II. And if anybody knows Chicago, oh, hi, Drew, my nephew, Drew Dakota, Drew Erdman. Hi, Drew, how are you tonight? Good evening to you also, Drew. Another one is, if you know the trades in Chicago, you would understand that the largest Polish community outside of Poland is in Chicago. And some of the best people on the face of this earth that I have worked with, I could call friends, I think that are the dearest people that God ever put on this earth, are Polish people. I had so many great days on the job working with people that had just got off the boat from Poland, and they talked about just how horrendously bad it was to be in Poland now, and to live in Poland, because once the Germans came through, it was horrible what happened when the Germans came through. And then what happened, Poland was kind of tossed away, as they put it. They were thrown away in a trash can. Then the Soviets came through. After World War II got done, the Soviets took over Poland, and whatever control and whatever non-rights that you want to talk about that the Germans had taken away from them, the Soviets took it one step farther. They were deeply oppressed under the Soviet Union. And they would get visas, or they would find ways to get to the United States, and they were so happy to be here. But that was, we had so many different conversations, and it all had to do with firearms, and how lucky we were in this country that if you were a law-abiding citizen, that you could purchase a firearm and own a firearm and you could protect yourself and protect your family. And basically everybody, that's what this comes down to is we have a right as U.S. citizens to protect ourselves and our families. And I think everybody interprets however they interpret that Second Amendment, but it infringes the government from taking our weapons. The government cannot decide about my weapons, is pretty much is how I see it, how that all gets summed up. And we need to organize, we need to educate, and we need to train. And I would like to say that if you want to come into the shop down here in Evansville and you would like to talk about this, if you don't agree with me and that you think that we should not be in business here and that we should not be manufacturing firearms and we should not be manufacturing ammunition, you're more than welcome to come in and we will have a discussion. We will talk about, I would like to know why you feel that because I had those discussions to get my zoning and to get my proper paperwork where we're located here. So I've had some of those discussions. And after I talked to people, we parted ways with that. They agreed with me that what I was actually doing is I was what we're doing here is we're protecting the people that want to take away our right to bear and have it's the darndest thing. And that's how I see it is we're fighting for our rights, but we're also fighting to protect those people because a lot of the people that want to take away your firearms and don't want you to have guns and ammo and all of these, how terrible this is, those are going to be the first people that the wolves put up against the wall and shoot. And that's just the reality of what's going to happen, everybody, is the intellectuals and the educated will be the first ones shot. And they're the ones that want to take our guns and ammunition right now. So I guess that's all I had. That's all I had on my plate tonight. But I could not call this We Care, You Matter if I don't talk about what's going on and give you where I'm coming from. And I would like to also put this, well, here, let's do this. I went over to, I'm doing this live here. I will post this now tonight on Gab. I am at gab.com. I have gone over to gab.com. That is a platform that's not censored, that if you are a law-abiding citizen, that you have a right to free speech, you have a right to bear arms, you have your rights under the Constitution of the United States that they honor at gab.com. So if you're a responsible adult, you have a right to do different, show them the rubber bullets and how they are safe. Show people how you are helping change the industry. Oh, Chris, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Hi, Chris. We'll do that. Actually, that's on my list of things to do, Chris, is to talk about the stand-down rounds. And what I would really like to do, Chris, Dave Dorsey up there and Oshkosh, all you guys, everybody out there, I would even like to come in here. I would like to have somebody in here with me where we could talk about this stuff because now it's gotten to be, it's really important, everybody, because things have gotten so crazy out there with how all of this is shaking out and coming down that we have to get together. The only way you're going to be able to keep your rights, the only way that you're going to be able to protect your loved ones is you got to work at it. You can't just post a bunch of stuff on the internet and think that that's going to work. It doesn't work that way. It never has worked that way. You got to organize. You have to have organizations in your communities. Everybody has to start in their own community. And from that community, you reach to other communities. And that's where your lawmakers understand where you're coming from. And if they don't understand, then with your organizing and your education and your training, you vote them out. And it's not posting, impeaching. You're not going to impeach anybody. I'm so sick of hearing that word. That's the lamest crap that that you can spew is this impeach. No, you have to work at it. You're going to have to organize. You're going to have to educate, and then you're going to have to vote how you would like to see your life, your children's life, and your grandchildren's life in this country. And that goes anywhere else around the world. We got to work at it, everybody. And you're more than welcome to come in here. I'm pretty sure you're more than welcome to go into Boss Firearms up in Oshkosh. And I guarantee you that just about any other gun store, organizations, anywhere around. And I guess I'm going to I'll put this out there. Don't rely on the NRA. And some of these other organizations, they're not going to do anything for you. They haven't done it. That's why we're at where we're at. Because what the NRA is doing, and I'm taking this is fact, they're robbing you. Their only interest is how much they can steal from you. They don't want to help you. They have no intention their intentions have nothing to do with your welfare or your family's welfare. Their intentions have to do with how much they can jam in their pockets. And there's probably a few other organizations that are out there. So if you think you're going to rely on them, you're going down the wrong path. We have to do this as a group of people that care about our families. And that's the only way this is going to work, everybody. And I can't call this We Care You Matter on Sunday night if I don't try and talk about some of this and try to bring this, or at least bring this to a discussion with everybody that's out there. We got to talk about this, and then we have to educate, and then we have to train. So I guess that's where I'm at. I don't want to rattle on much more. If you have questions, you have concerns, or you have anything else that you'd like to, Gab.com is where you can go. There's a lot of craziness going on Gab.com. Actually, it's kind of comical. But you have a right to express your opinion if you do it in a respectable way. And another one, I want to do this is, we also started, let me do this. If you have firearms or firearms-related products that you'd like to sell, we started Firearms Marketplace. And that's a place that, like all these other marketplaces, you got something you want to sell, list it on, go in and join our group, Firearms Marketplace, and list it. Because I know guys got stuff in their shelves, or they got their stuff in their gun cabinets that they haven't used in a long time. And you can post it on here and sell it. So, and we've never had a place we could do that before. Never. So go to Gab.com. Follow what I'm doing there. Join our Firearms Marketplace. List your stuff on there. And we could also start groups there that we could talk about, let me go back to that. We could actually go to Gab.com, and it's a place that we could organize, that we can look at ways that we can all work together, but we have to protect our right. And if we don't do that, and we don't do this in a civilized way, we're going to be in trouble, because the wolves right now want to take your guns. And that's flat out how I see it. The wolves want to take your guns, and once they do, they'll start slaughtering all the sheep out there. And we have to do whatever we can to make sure that doesn't happen. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. Join me next week. Anybody, if you'd like to join me here, please. I would love to have people join me here on Sunday night for these. And we could talk about and get back to what I'd love to be talking about, which is your businesses and your products and what you have going on with the outdoors. So with that, I want to say thank you. And join me next week, everybody. Thanks.